All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So, it's always pulls. So annoying. Uh, because of the headset. So today I am going to review, or at least let's just say this time, I'm going to talk about Star Wars Rebels. Now, thing is, I have a ton of notes on Star Wars Rebels. So I'm actually going to try to run through this very quickly, reading the points. The last video went a little longer than I wanted to, and I was kind of just going through it. So, yeah, Star Wars Rebels. This was a cartoon show. This was technically the sequel series to Clone Wars after, I think, the Disney acquisition or anything like that. So I'm going to read the bullet points because I literally have hit points for every season. It was 4 seasons. This is about 15 years after Revenge of the Sith and 5 years before A New Hope, aka Star Wars Episode 4. This is about how the rebellion came to be. We see them over the series grow to the rebels that we know and love. And basically, you do see the group. It's kind of like the rebel group. Kanan and all of them were already there. And Ezra kind of comes along. You kind of see the series through the eyes of Ezra kind of situation. Let's see. Oh, so it's a rebel squad of about 5 aliens and a droid. A hodgepodge, a group, if you will. Kind of reminds you of Guardians of the Galaxy. The series is also a little bit more focused on the group. It still has a lot of surrounding Star Wars. A little bit more focused into the group, though. You got Sabine, who's a Mandalorian. She's also in Forces of Destiny. You got Ezra and Kanan, who are Ezra Bridger and Kanan Jarrus, who are humans. You got Hera Syndulla, a Twi'lek. Those are the green people with the, two. Let's see. You got Gareb Zeb Aurelius, or Zeb. He's a Lasat, and he was captain of the Lasan High Honor Guard. You got Cara Blast, who, cool enough, was actually heard in Rogue One, and Chopper, or I think it's C110-10P, comes off of Chopper, so they call him Chopper. You also heard him in Rogue One. And it was during the Rebel base of Yavin, and I may not remember this later, that's why I'm bringing it up now, because I kind of giddied out when I heard Rogue One and I heard the voices and the stuff. So pilot, droid, a Jewy, a master, Padawan. So it kind of flows with the same thing. There's a master, a Padawan, someone that's like a Chewie. There's a droid. 2 characters in love. Some of them also showed up in Forces of Destiny. Any of the females. You got Captain Rex, who later, if you remember from Clone Wars, and he was on the Battle of Endor. So to return to be Rex, he joins the crew, but that's later. Rebels is on a cohesive story. I think that's why I gravitated and grabbed so easily to it. Where Clone Wars, I had a much more rougher time jumping in. It kind of like started one thing and went to the other. I also enjoyed the brand new characters for the majority of the series. It wasn't characters that I had a past and I kind of had to connect. I had to flow and grow with these characters as they did, kind of thing. It was a nice, fresh place with no preconceived notions, what it will. Like, you could literally jump into Rebels and not have to have watched anything previous and still get enjoyment out of it, kind of thing. But I do understand that, well, with this comes some of the building back story and whatnot. So basically, some people, I've noticed that when people talk about they like Clone Wars, one of the things is that they kind of connected a little bit to the prequel series. I still get lost when people like the prequel series over the Disney. To me, that block was just not that great, but there are people who were like, it was the best. The Disney ones are bad. It's whatever. Love what you love. But to me, the prequels didn't make sense the way the others did. Even if you don't like the Disney ones, they're still there. But anywho. And I do want to point out that in the current Disney canon as it is, Kanan is actually my favorite Jedi. And the original, I like this guy. His name was like Direct. I'm not saying his name right, but he had like a darker green lightsaber. Whatever, doesn't matter. He's an extended. No one cares right now. And that is a pop shot at the guy who said the canon thing. But basically, out of what I've seen, I really like Kanan. I want to get that comic book series of The Last Padawan. Just something about Kanan just really resonated with me, which was odd because before I used to, my favorite was like Luke, and as it started to expand, I ended up liking Yoda a lot. But yeah, it ended up becoming Kanan, and there's a Jedi right behind him that I love, by the way, but you'll talk about that later. Um, Also, too, it was really cool in the series in the first season when you see a situation going on and he reveals like his force powers and he reveals he's a Jedi. You see him walking and he's kind of doing the Jedi like thing with his blasting. And he's putting it together. And you find out it's actually his lightsaber because he kind of had to turn it on. That was so cool. And after his master died, he left from Order 66. And they explain in the comic like his master kind of saved him and he kind of went into hiding and became what he became. I guess he kind of put that behind him at that time. I did like how in season 1 they established what they did and like who they were as a current crew. They didn't really delve into the backstory. They kind of were like, here's who we are and this is what we do. And you started to get kind of a feel and a flow to it. And it was also kind of a little lighthearted, a little more kid-friendly, like a little bit more kid-ish. In that sense, I felt Clone Wars kind of was in some degrees too, but people act like it wasn't. And I think you're remembering more of the later stuff. At the beginning, it was still kind of kiddish and a little weird. Not saying I didn't love it. You see my other review. I'm just saying. But then between season 2 and season 3, you get more of that backstory. After watching how people are with Clone Wars, I feel like the Clones was... Yeah, so I even said that already. It feels like the Clone Wars, they have more of an attachment because they have more of an attachment to the prequels. So, for example, Kanan talks Order 66. Sabine was in the Imperial. This is from like season 2 when you start to learn about them. Kanan is like kind of goes into Order 66. Sabine was in the Imperial Academy. That was something you learn. Zeb, one of the last of his race, as the Empire did like a scorched earth thing, and Ezra's folks are gone. So you start to delve into that more. You knew about it a little bit, but it delved in more. I feel season 1 was to lay groundwork to get you going so that by season 2 and 3 you really feel the weight of the history that comes on. Since Clone Wars had the luxury of those movies, they kind of wanted you to connect to them and then really connect to them when you find out how tragic and harsh their story is. I can admit, because people say this, but I can admit I actually did like this because I like Aladdin. It's Aladdin in space. It comes to mind in season 1. I actually even told my friends about it. I said it's like Aladdin. It is, and I actually think it's awesome. And it's oh yeah, and also too, season 1 really established a pure family dynamic. That was something as well. I did like how it established itself, but it did start with things like Vader arrived with the Inquisitors and kind of get you into what the Inquisitors are draws you in, and they used James Earl Jones' voice. I thought that was great. I think they did the thing like Force Awakens. They wanted to use familiarity. Now, Jason Isaacs killed it as the Inquisitor, and the rotating lightsaber did remind me of Starkiller and that story a little bit. I have a lot of love, hate for the guest appearances. The original cast voices were cool, though. I can say that in season 1, you had like Tarkin, you had Lando show up, R2-D2, C-3PO, and Obi-Wan. Whereas the series went, it just felt like a bit much. It still worked, but it felt like they were laying it on a little thick. They could have spread that love out a little bit more. I did like that you heard Yoda's voice, but like I said, Yoda was like my original favorite Jedi when like things came out later. That's another thing I actually liked from the prequels. I was always interested in Yoda, and as I learned more about him, I like him more. I also enjoyed the Kanan and Ezra relationship more overall than Obi-Wan and Anakin. I thought there was a closeness, yet there was still that father son, big brother, little brother kind of thing. And I felt it wasn't so whiny and complaining as much as it was caring, more like family. When Ezra gets his Kyber crystal and made his lightsaber. Okay, let me establish something right now. Ezra has the coolest lightsaber. Don't care. I actually like Kylo Ren's lightsaber. A lot of people don't. I like the broadsword thing. It just feels noble. I know, but I just think it's cool, especially because you can like use the lightsaber thing. You could be fighting someone and slash them with the other thing, and you see him do it, and he can jam it, so it gives it like an extra weapon feel. But Ezra's lightsaber, the fact that it's a blast, his blaster, and he can shoot, and then turn it, kick the lightsaber, hit, and he can do melee. His lightsaber covers multiple grounds. You could do from distance, or if someone gets in close. Also, a surprise because you could pop the lightsaber. I think he has the coolest lightsaber. That's probably my favorite. Yeah, that's my favorite lightsaber. That gun saber. Uh, Yeah, and the series has some of the coolest lightsabers. I liked. I also like Kanan's, how his has that twist to it and stuff like that, and it was like personalized. I like when they personalize their lightsabers. I just think that's a really cool thing that they always keep in Star Wars. Even Rey did it. Um, Another standout was the Imperial Academy. To see the inner workings, like they did in Clone Wars, they went a little deep with that. Um, it felt like a hark back to one of the only good things in Phantom Menace, as well. Maul, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon thing. I like the fight between Kanan, Ezra, and the Inquisitor. I thought that was cool. Also, during that fight, Ezra gets a scar, but that battle scar actually stays with him, and I love that. I thought that was awesome. It didn't go away or, oh, I just healed and forgot about it. No, that was like a scar as his character for the rest of the series, and it showed the weight of the battles that they did that this wasn't a game. And I think it was awesome. I also thought it was cool because it kind of reminded me of Anakin with his scar, but it actually gave a reason. They set the stage as, wow, they are one of many. And then, boom, boom, boom. The best Star Wars female shows up. My probably is becoming my actual, maybe third, possibly even second favorite Jedi. I just love her more. I can't get enough of her, Ahsoka. Um, and I also liked how they aged her up, and it helped really connect to the previous story. And you got to see. I love that you just keep seeing more of Ahsoka's story. I just think she has a great story. And in season 2, it was time to focus on Vader, boy. Vader came up in there talking about something. Okay, y'all think y'all tough. Y'all think y'all tough. Talking and walking and ready to destroy, man. So, you got Vader who bombed Kanan and Ezra. Then Vader rips the fleet apart. It was like they came in, you saw that the Inquisitor. They're kind of like, yeah, we can do this. We can do this. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, no, we can't. Oh, no, we can't. Vader! Like, Vader was like, nah, I'm Vader. Like, it was great. Just Vader. And it got so bad to the point that Vader and Ahsoka had to face off. And with the James Earl Jones voice, it was sick, especially when he got scarred. And you heard, or the thing got cut. Excuse me. Got so excited to get myself the hiccup. But, yeah. And the voice acting between the two actors that came together, and he's like, Ahsoka. And that was awesome. Rex, Captain of the 501st, and Kanan doesn't trust, harking back to Order 66 with the mistrust intense. That was great. That, like, Kanan experienced it, and because they already talked about it, Kanan's like, no. I seen what clones do. That's not cool. Because because there was a situation where they worked together, and I thought that was awesome. It was a nice build up, how they got to trust each other over time. Rex and Ahsoka, a reunion meant so much, a lot more now that I've really watched Clone Wars season 7, and just Clone Wars as a series. it made it that much more impactful rewatching this series to get these notes. I love that he joins the Rebels fully. I think it's cool because I really think Rex was just a great character. And I thought that it was nice that the episode was dedicated to this. An episode that got me was when Ezra found out his parents died on the escape, but he got that message that they were very proud that he joined the alliance, and actually started to cry. And it kind of hit me because by this point I've really connected with Ezra and them as a group. And when that happened, it was emotional because if that's like the last thing you had to deal with, and you hear from your parents that now we're actually proud of you, that's strong. It's a really good. I'm even feeling the emotion right now. It really hit me. Oh, and Sabine of the House Viz situation with Pre Vizsla, who in the show I loved. Her mom that was a part of Death Watch. That was crazy because we saw Death Watch in the my nose is getting stuffy. Sorry, Death Watch and back in the Clones around like season 5 or 6. I think it was season 6. I think it was season 5. Yeah, I think it was season 5. But yeah, and that whole storyline, which I thought was a really cool storyline, the Mandalorians. I'm really loving the Mandalorians, by the way, more than I ever have. But I thought that was great, and it was great to connect that story there. Hera with her dad, who was the Liberator, or was the Liberator of Ryloth with Mace Windu, and her mom passed away. That was so cool. Where you see like her dad, it was like looked like a different kind of race. He was like orange, and also how Kanan got nervous meeting her father, and it was kind of like he was jumbling and stuff, which was kind of hinting to there's some kind of relationship. And you kind of noticed they were the mother and father figure of the group. Like they kind of kept them together. Everybody was younger than them. They always seemed to have that bond. But little things like that. Zeb was guardian of the royals, and he went to sleep and then woke up and it was all gone. Also, his species is not dead. I would like to see more of Zeb's group. I just like the Lasats actually a lot. The rivalry of Zeb and Callus, that went deep. The kill order, as a matter of fact, was by Zalas. Also, Lasats killed Callus's people, like his troops and stuff that he cared about. And it was a great build because they really had a villain, and it was interesting because it wasn't like a main character, like, you know, the whole group is main, but it was more of a Chewbacca side character, but it gave him a really deep story. Like they really hated each other, and I thought that was crazy how much they hated each other. And the standout was the enemies when they were on a cold planet, when they both got stuck and had to work together, and you see after everything happened, they were like, well, my group's going to come for me first. He's like, no, my family's coming for me first. He's like, no, the Empire is the best. And you see Callus and him do that. And when they actually end up finding him, because he was like, oh, I'm going to take you prisoner. Like, Zeb kind of was like, you know what, I'm not going to do it kind of thing. And that was cool because you see that there was like love and happiness when they met each other. There was like hugs. There was, oh my God. And it was like such a deep family moment. While Callus, like he goes on there, he's like, "Hey, I'm back," and they're like, "What up? I'm busy." It was just, damn, it was cold. Like they didn't even care. They're like, "Yeah, you're a general. We had to pick you because you're a general. Whatever. I'm reading my book." Then you had Hondo, baby. And you had the thing with Leia, and you got some story with like Leia playing the Empire while helping the Rebels. So you got to see more of how she got into the position that she got to before A New Hope, and how she was positioned. And I thought that was great, masterfully handled. I love the voice actor who did it, and I love that she wanted to keep her seat on the Senate with Alderaan, and that's why she did what she was doing, and she was trying to help from that thing. I love when next time you see Ahsoka. Remember, she pops white lightsabers. That was awesome, and she deserved to do it. And I thought it was an interesting touch. All I know is she took them from an Inquisitor who was using lightsabers, and they were. I never read the novel, but I heard about the novel, which I'm gonna get it. Some of these Star Wars ones, I'm gonna start picking up some more of these. Like the things I really like are the things I'm gonna grab. But I bet you in that novel was just boss. Like, it was just awesome. Also, Ahsoka's relationship explaining Anakin was a nice touch. Also, we got to see Yoda. The guilt with Anakin to Vader was actually there. I thought that was great. But the season finale every time just turns it up when you see Maul and he takes a Sith. And it's like that whole situation with Maul, because she had a past with Maul, especially from the Order 66 episode in season 7. And Maul just out of nowhere blinds Kanan right across his eyes, which I thought was crazy. And I was like, yo, like big fight. It showed how at this point in time Maul is kind of psychotic and nuts with everything. And Ahsoka had to step in, which I thought was nice growth. And she also, like, she was the crux. And then when you think it can't get bigger, boom, enter Vader again. And this is the part where the strike happens. I was thinking the thing before, where she strikes his mask and you see his eye, and she starts to realize that, oh my god, he's actually Vader, and that's Anakin, my master. And he like kind of says something to her, but you hear the voice actor's voice, but you also hear James Earl Jones' voice kind of in unison. Just chef's kiss. And I don't even like chef's kiss. The strike, it just that was just freaking awesome. I love the fact that she won't leave, and he's so corrupted. He's like, then die. It's like, he gives you goosebumps because that's how far he's fallen by this point. Vader has taken out people and everything. He's like so deep into the dark side. And then you have the big cliffhanger of what happened to Ahsoka. You see Vader leave, but you don't see Ahsoka. And you really see something between Hera and Blind Kanan, how she embraced him. And then that gaze between Rex and Ezra, just the pain in his heart just strings you again when there's like what's going on and the whole thing with Rex, and Rex kind of looks, and you just see that Rex had that thing where he's like, I lost my friend. And people try to down this show. Yo, I don't care what y'all say. This show be pulling the emotions. The other one kind of did it. Yeah, they had their moments. No, this one be pulling it because it's like a family being hurt every time, and it's just go. Season 3, enter Ninja Mode Ezra. He's older. He's more dangerous. New haircut. This season was like, oh, we can level up even more, fool. So outside of Darth Maul, the show was like, I'm full grown. By Clone Wars, no Ahsoka, no Leia, no Vader, no Inquisitors. Nope, they are moving on. The only thing is Maul, because you need to do Maul's story. But now they're focused on the Rebel story. They're like, all right, we already touched stuff of the past. Now it's time to look towards the future. Kanan meets Bendu, teaches him foresight, which I thought was great. As I like to call it, Bendu is like the Force is the father. In the middle, the daughter light, son is dark, and he follows the path of the father, which is the middle. Now you're seeing in this season connections to the Rebellion and Episode 4, like I said, moving forward, as well as Rogue One. For example, Mon Mothma, who was in Return of the Jedi, it was also in the Rogue One. You see her in this, getting to her point. I love that we got some backstory to Veg from OG Trilogy. The pilot you see, Veg, the pilot, I think I'm saying his name right, that you see later, and why he joined the Rebels with Sabine, and that whole thing, which he is a pilot later in the series. You saw Saul, who is in Clone Wars and Rogue One and Rebels. They did show his change to the Connect, but I'm just saying maybe he's just worn with Season 4, but kind of did a bit of a jump. Martha had different tactics versus Saul. So with the thing and Saul, that's why he had that nervousness, like, are you here to kill me? And it seemed to really affect his thoughts about her and everything. The last effect of his sister with Clone Wars, when she died, you see him kind of become an extremist and what it does to him, which I thought was great. Thrawn walks in, and Thrawn was used awesomely. Thrawn, the trilogy about how he's just beastly. Like, Thrawn knew Anakin in the new canon already, and he worked the Empire like all head. And I want to get that Thrawn book thing, actually. He's another character that really I thought was just an amazing villain. Heard they're doing a live action series. I don't know if that's necessary. I mean, yeah, maybe you could do the Thrawn 3 part, and I don't think it would be bad, but I don't know. Um, I think there's other things you could touch instead of always dipping into the past. But people really like Thrawn. I thought Thrawn was great. So yeah, if you did, I'm gonna watch it. I also love how they question who won the war. That was awesome because you start to see Palpatine killed the Sith, killed the Jedi. You know, then he made the rest of the ones Inquisitors. The droids got decommissioned. The chip clones got kind of replaced by stormtroopers. And I thought that was an interesting thing. Like, who they're trying to figure out, wait, who won the war? If you all were fighting and none of you won, and everyone's thinking they lost, who won? That was awesome. The origin of the dark saber, the history of the Mandalorian Empire, I thought that was fantastic. Now they flesh out her story with her mom, her brother, Sabine. She beats Saxon, the Empire flunky. He loses and trying to cheat. Sabine's mom kills him. I thought that was sick. Some people said there was like no deaths that you see live action, but you literally see him get shot. To my memory. Then there was the Mandalorian Civil War. You see Sabine her grow and stay a defined leader, which would be great for the sword because she gets to claim the sword. I love that even more that she went to go do another mission. So it showed that they did have to break off to do a lot of important things. Then Obi-Wan versus Maul. Dude sounded just like genius. Like whoever did this, it was genius. He didn't want to fight until he sensed Luke. And it was funny because, yeah, Obi was like, I'm not going to fight. And then he's like, no, you're hiding something. And Maul felt Luke. So Maul calls out, oh, you're trying to protect someone. Then he does the Obi pose from the original, like the prequels. It was so sick. Then he goes to I think I'm saying it right. Then he goes to the other pose that he always do that, like that. And I was losing it. Then he goes to the Qui-Gon pose that Qui-Gon does. And it was like so much homage. And then he goes to his pose that you see at the end with Darth Vader when he goes to from there to, he used to with the hand to this. Which is more of a poised pose. And Obi wiped him out, which I felt that fight shouldn't have been because by this point Obi was on kind of another level. And I love that he states he will avenge us. It was a great send-off because it gave him a lot where he's like, we had to fight, but Luke will be the one to avenge us, like what happened to us. And I thought that was as a whole. Obi-Wan was hiding with Senator Organa's help, lays the groundwork as to how he was hidden since he did the twins and protected Luke. The callous growth to the fulcrum. That was interesting. With the setting up the stuff, and it was very tactical. Like the elevator, they got him in the thing, and then when you see the elevator open, the guards are just down. Thrawn catches him because Thrawn, no other reason needed, into the big battle at the Rebel base. Straight up ground in the air. That was crazy. You got Sato and Commander from Rogue One and other Star Wars. Commander Sato sacrifices himself to save everyone. Wow, this dude was here since season 1. I think they mentioned Sato. Thrawn takes out Bendu, which I thought was crazy, just straight to the face. Callus is rescued, and the exchange between him and Kanan was awesome. Came full circle with that. Then they headed to Yavin. Now you go into season 4. The Mandalore Civil War was action-packed and great. Sabine led, and she sees her dad. Then Lady Bo-Katan, who was in the Clone Wars, pops up. So good. She helped Obi and switch sides. She was regent by the Jedi, so the Mandalorian kind of saw there as leader. We see Ezra join the battle and has that reminiscent moment when the doors open, how Obi, when the battle came, he popped the lightsaber and he was looking around. It kind of did the same thing to Ezra. I thought that was great. It was just a sweet touch. She uses this with the sword to the roll moment. So with this sword, I roll with the dark lightsaber. I love that thing. Thrawn pops up and goes wild because he's a great villain. You learn about the Death Star. Has a big kyber crystal, and that's why it worked the way it did and the color that it was. We hear about Orson Krennic. What did I put for this? Oh, saving things, leading into Rogue One, then to Nathal, and you're like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Then Lone Wolves who speak to Kanan. That was cool that they have this animal connection with with the animals on Nathal. Then you get to his real name, which is Caleb Dune. Cara Dune, Caleb Dune. Get it? Huh? Huh? Maybe something's there. Caleb Dune, Cara Dune, just saying. And building to Hera. The siege planet they got watered, flowered, and you see them get their relationship. They work like Sue and Reed of the FF. Like you see like your welcome dear, things like that when they would talk and how they kind of flirted. Hera's always had that strange love your reaction. Strange in a good, or strong, I meant, not strange. Strong love your reaction. Also, they decided this might be the end times, so they wanted to profess their love. Then you get Jedi Knight. He changes his look. He cleans up, shaves his head, everything. Then a moment that ripped my heart out. They say they love each other, but he saves all of them and sacrifices himself. You felt it coming, but it was like Logan. Just because you know when it did, it still hit you hard. And Kanan became my favorite Jedi because of this series. And I welled up. I felt the heat behind my eyes. I had tear going down. It hurt. And it was beautiful, but it was sad. You see Sabine breaking when she finds out what happened, and the team then had to tell Zeb, because Zeb didn't know. And the beauty of the family, Zeb comforts Ezra because Ezra like collapses, and you hear it in my voice. Like, it was so emotional, like an Uncle Wood to a nephew. Chopper comforts Hera, like a pet of love, and she tells him, "I love you," just to be gone. Like, it hits you. If you really get invested, it actually pulls at you. And like I said, you hear me now. It's in my voice. It got me emotional. When they look at each other for that last time, it was just such a powerful scene. And it was like everything that needed to be said was said there. Okay, sorry. It still hits me. And Ian came back as the Emperor. That was awesome. Ezra is at all time and space, which he did this thing in there. That was sweet, where you hear the voices of all the movies and the Clone Wars. And I do mean all. For everything is ever there. You hear it in there when he's out of time and space. Ezra then pulls Ahsoka out of time to save her, which was a cool scene. It's crazy and a nice way to remove her and why she wasn't seen and her experiencing something. We saw the bird Moira that sacrificed her life to get. So the bird and Ahsoka are now connected. They went to save Lothal, and Ezra will fight Thrawn, which I thought was just awesome. Ezra's like, I'm done with this. And I love how Sabine and him had that warrior moment. He goes and has that connection and respect. He went from kind of having a crush on her to just respecting. Also, Ezra doesn't fall for the Emperor when he tries to pull something, and Ezra brought Purgles, which was a beautiful comeback in that fight. Then you see him leave. The reaction in the eyes chilling as Ezra says goodbye to everyone in the thing, and it's just like another heartstring pull. Fast forward to the end and return. Zeb took Callus to see he didn't end all of the world, and he became one with the other people of the Sats, because he truly changed and had an amazing arc. Rex and Hera battle of Endor, and Hera, Kanan had a son, which I thought was beautiful. Ahsoka and Sabine have a new mission. Ezra is alive and they're on Gron. Then that mural with the creatures of Lothal was wonderful. And also, too, the dude did predict to him that he's like, you're going to die with arms all around you. And that's what happened. So, I went through this. This video probably went long. I'm going to say this series blew my mind. It's actually one of my favorite Star Wars things. I love it more than Clone Wars. I love it more than most of Star Wars. I love Rebels. I will watch that again just because of how much I love Rebels. I think it was great. I loved how it went from a kid thing and it actually matured into something deeper and something more. And it was kind of like it started you off light, kind of the way Star Wars did, where it was very kiddish and things, and you get to the Empire by the middle, it was like too deep. And then it kind of brings you back, but it kind of goes forward. And I hope they do a sequel series with Ahsoka, and I want to see where Ezra and Sabine goes. I want to know more about what happened to this crew. And I want them to do a series, and I hope the true sequel cartoon series is this. So, love this series. Tell me what you think. It blows my mind. One of the best things ever. Stay real, stay healthy, stay safe. Yeah, I said it backwards. This is the Geek Protagonist, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love Star Wars Rebels. You need to respect the game. Respect it. Kanan, yeah. See ya. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos. If you like what I'm doing, please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.